your convenience later on, you can see this video. I'm here taking some questions. This is a question from Kaushik Agarwal from YouTube. Kaushik has his question in relation to the vaccine. Can you please tell which vaccine is better? Because we are very confused whether to take or not. So I think there's a confusion whether to take vaccine or not, and if one is, is supposed to take vaccine, or if you suggest it's good to take vaccine, which one to take?
It is an unfortunate situation that something just come by out of the Lord's grace as a help, as a shelter, as a protection in the form of a vaccine. This is the Lord's help. He's sending his children to be protected from this dangerous virus. But because of the bad promotion and the overly exaggerated side effects which may be there in just a few small number of people, that people become so scared, and even consider I should not take it. Right now, I'm speaking from the medical perspective. People may have their own independence, of course, to decide what they want to do. But we doctors as a community would definitely recommend that everyone should get vaccinated, because this is something which is very, very important. As I said before, the immune system is not fortified to take care of it, and you have to create adaptive immunity in the way by taking this vaccine. The crucial question now is which one, right? When we didn't have a vaccine, if you had only one, everybody would probably jump for it. But now you have two, and then you have now your Sputnik coming in. So people are thinking, should I take Sputnik? So that they're getting confused what to take, what not to take. Well, I would say, and I'm being a little more practical. There are all figures are given, and all of you are aware of the figures: 78%, 83%, 97.6%. Right? So I think all of you know about the figures. I'm not going to get into all that, but I'm just saying that take whatever is available, easily available, right? Whatever is available. I'm just being a little more practical, honestly, right? Just take what is available, because all of them are at least giving a protection beyond 70%, right? And nothing in the world is going to be perfect. I don't think we need to think that vaccine is like the panacea cure for the complete malady of the pandemic. It is not. If you're putting so much of emphasis only on one thing, that a vaccine will make me sort of immortal against this virus, maybe you're looking at it in the wrong way, because that will minimize the importance of all that we said before, which we all know very well we must do. So if you're getting Covishield, take Covishield. If you're taking, like for example, when as health workers, we were offered Covishield, and we knew the numbers, Covaxin versus this and that. It's what is available, give it to us, right? And so as for myself, I took Covishield, 2 vaccines. At the early time, they were saying take it 1 month apart. Now they're saying they take it 2 months apart. Okay, so whatever the guidelines may be, but take whatever is available, and do not get so much worried about the side effects. They are really quite small. In related to vaccine, I would say a few things which will help to minimize side effects. This may not be known too well. The day you take your vaccine, take 2 glasses of water before you go to the vaccination center, right? Sit there for half an hour. They will check you out whether everything is all right with you. If you have no symptoms, no giddiness, nothing, everything looks okay, you come back home, take 2 glasses of water again. For the next 5 to 7 days, take a lot of water. People who got the small number, I'm going to mention again the small number of people who did get stroke or a myocardial infarct, right, were most likely people who are actually dehydrated. Dehydration causes increased viscosity of the blood, and therefore after a vaccine, when the immune system gets activated, there is an inflammatory response to the baseline viscosity of the blood, and that leads to microthrombi formation. Therefore, hydration is a very good way of actually creating a situation whereby the inflammation comes down. So hydrate yourself for 5-7 days. Take more rest. You may find a little drop or dip in your energy levels. So don't strain, don't struggle to do like your routine work. I must do this much for the day, right? Just tone down and say, okay, I'm going to take it easy. My body is fighting now, creating some new antibodies. So take adequate rest for the 5-7 days when you feel low. So good hydration, take rest. Do not eat any synthetic food in those times. No synthetic food at all, because remember, every synthetic mall-made food, preservative food is potentially thrombogenic, because it may contain trans fatty acids, it may contain chemicals which are maybe, which may inflame, which may incite an inflammatory response in the body. So you can never be sure about these packaged foods at all, right? That's sometimes could be outrightly dangerous. So avoid all packaged food completely, right? Eat only pure homemade food. Take bath 2 to 3 times in a day to keep your body more cool, right? More cool, right? Because vaccine will develop some heat in the body. It will come up in the form of fever. There is no need of taking paracetamol in a preventive level. People say, I get a fever, I want to just suppress it, I'll take a paracetamol just before a fever comes in. Don't do that, right? Because the fever actually is a sign of the activation of the human system. So if you are too much bothered by body pain or fever, take it. If you can handle 99-degree fever or whatever else, where fever is there, don't worry. It is not the fear of infection. It is not that because with the vaccine, now I'm infected, I'm getting a fever. It is not an infective fever, it's a non-infective fever which is coming up because of the activation of the immune cells, which produce some amount of chemicals which can lead to alteration in the hypothalamus and causes an amount of fever. But it's not infective fever, so don't get worried about the fever. It comes in also perfectly all right. So just some of these cares which are necessary. Take a little more adequate rest, take water, avoid outside food, and thus you will be able to minimize to a significant extent, to minimal extent, the side effects which are promoted so strongly sometimes. So he died, they had a stroke. This does happen. Not that it doesn't happen, but the numbers are very, very small. If you do what I just said, even that can be completely eliminated.
Thank you for that. I think that was very informative, and I think even I was really not aware that it's so important to do simple things like drinking water, taking adequate rest, and just allow your body to build that your immune system to help and support the vaccination. So besides this question with vaccination, we have one more question which is connected, which is from Mandira, and she's asking, after the vaccination, are you completely safe?
The only safe place is Krishna's lotus feet, I guess. There's no other safe place in the world. But on a more, to answer the question more practically, as you said, there are percentages. There is percentage. What we're talking about basically is that these vaccines do not prevent infection. These vaccines do not prevent infection. If I'm a vaccine, if I'm lowered my mask and I'm walking out in a crowded train or in a crowded road in maybe a south downtown place in Mumbai, like Kalba Devi or whatever else, right? I'm going to get infected. I'm going to get massively infected with everything else, right? What it means that you will get infected, if at all, if you do the wrong things. But hopefully, if you're doing the right things, which we have talked about and which all of us already know, and you're vaccinated, then the intensity of the disease is much less. Your immunity starts rising after the first one. After 3 weeks of the first vaccine, your immune cells actually start getting formed, right? But if you take your 6 weeks next dose, 6 to 8 weeks next dose, it's called as a booster dose, you come to optimal levels of formation antibodies, which will last for the next few months, right? So in that time, we have seen that people who are vaccinated at least twice, very few people actually had serious complications. Most of the time, what we have seen so far is that those are double vaccinated, the disease level is at a much lower level of intensity. So we're talking about mortality prevention, we're talking about morbidity prevention, we're not talking about infection prevention with the vaccine.
Also, it's important to keep your guards on. That's also important.
So then, even if you take Sputnik, which is maybe coming next month, with the Sputnik vaccine, which is like getting the biggest hype now, if you get a Sputnik also, please do not. Yes. There's no guarantee. Yeah, you have to do whatever is being told must be done.
We have one more question from Anand. Anand is asking, how long antibodies are there after the infection subsides?
After getting an infection, the body starts manufacturing antibodies as a response to the virus, right?